Well, I got involved with the coalition because they were working so very hard to repeal this tax. They are seeing it in fitness center after fitness center. People not being able to join, not being able to renew memberships, people just being able to barely make a living, make ends meet, having an additional tax on getting into shape. So the coalition had been such a leader on this. We partnered with them in a number of public events, press conferences, speeches, and getting co-sponsors for our legislation to repeal the tax. And we are working, Republican and Democrat, working together, which is exactly what we should be doing. This is affecting people all over our state. So the coalition has been a leader in this here in New Jersey, been so helpful trying to repeal it. We repealed part of it. Now we have to repeal the rest of it. I don't speak about exercise from a book that I read or a white paper that somebody handed to me. I do it because I lived it. I was going to die. I couldn't climb a set of stairs without having to stop and catch a breath. I couldn't walk around the block. And 10 months after I started this lifestyle, I ran a 10-mile race. It has changed everything. We should be encouraging people to join gyms and fitness centers. We should be encouraging people to work with fitness professionals and people in the industry to reach those fitness goals, as I was blessed to be able to do. I want that for all New Jerseyans. Nothing is more important in a campaign like this than grassroots advocacy. You know, you can have as many TV commercials and billboards as you want, but nothing is as effective to legislators than people contacting their own state assembly person and state senator, contacting the governor's office, and saying, the people of New Jersey, we are invested in our own health and the health of our neighbors and our friends and the folks on the next elliptical machine over from us. We're in this together for a healthier New Jersey. And it's that grassroots contact. It's stopping your state legislator at the supermarket or at the gym. It's making sure that they realize that this is truly affecting the lives of the people of New Jersey. And we need to do everything we can to make sure we repeal this. It is that grassroots advocacy led by the industry, led by the coalition, working with legislators who've been committed to getting rid of this. That's the way we're going to be able to repeal this tax. Very clear what can happen to an industry if the legislature wants to put a tax on something. The industry in New Jersey, we're very fortunate because they have such a good grassroots organization. We've been able to fight and got part of it repealed. We're going to get the rest of it repealed, God willing. But you can't ignore the fact that the legislature in any state can come along and put a tax on joining a gym, put a tax on getting into shape, put a tax on healthy lifestyles. That's so short-sighted. That's why it's so important for this industry, not only here in New Jersey, but across our country, to continue to communicate with their members and communicate with legislators in their states, to tell people how important the fitness and health industry is. That is countless amounts of money is saved by people living healthy lifestyles. That tens of thousands of dollars, God forbid, someone has with a stroke or heart disease, they can be prevented solely by getting people into gyms and fitness centers. This is easy. This is one of those things that New Jerseyans know it. Everybody on the street knows that if you get into shape, you are less likely to have long-term chronic illnesses. We need to encourage that. The state government needs to encourage it. Every state capital across our country needs to be hearing. Whether you're a legislator in Illinois, you're a legislator in California, you're a legislator in Georgia, or a legislator in New Jersey, you need to be hearing from members and clubs all across your state. Getting new legislators. It is so vitally important that people who are leaders in the fitness industry, owners of clubs, people who work in them, talk to legislators who may be members or reach out to the legislators. I always like, when I speak to groups of fitness professionals, I always like to ask them, can you name your state senator? Can you name your state assembly member? And if you can't, that's the problem. You need to know who they are. You need to know where their office is. You need to be talking to them. You need to be saying, come over and visit our club. See the effect we're having. Meet this person who suffered a stroke and has now made a miraculous comeback. See this person who's lost 130 pounds. Visit with this family who spends time here together every day and how that brings their family closer together. The industry has to do what a number of other industries do, profit and nonprofit. Introduce themselves to new legislators, reintroduce themselves to legislators who've been there a while. Let them see the good and decent work that are happening, how lives are being changed. This is one of those areas where the story is all good. When a fitness center professional says to someone, this person's life has changed, and I'm not speaking hypothetically, I've been there. I lived it. I would be dead today if it weren't for this, the fact that I was able to join a fitness center and get into shape and change my life completely. And there are countless people like that across the country. There's countless people like that here in New Jersey. Tell that story to legislators. Show them the effect that healthy lifestyles have. What has surprised me most about the campaign has got to be the fact that people from all over our state, people in big towns and big cities and small towns, people belong to clubs that have thousands of members and people who belong to clubs that have 100, have truly bonded together from across our state and said this is a bad idea to put a tax on living a healthy lifestyle. They've worked together. They've signed petitions, they've written emails, they've made phone calls, they've stopped legislators, they've come to the State House, and they have truly taken not only their health care, but the health care of people they don't even know, members they've never even met or don't have yet, and said this is too important to sit back, it's too important to be idle on this issue. We've got to work together to repeal this tax because we've got to work together to make our states healthier.